Some people really love crunchy cookies and some people really love soft cookies. What if I told you that I have a recipe for peanut butter cookies that you can make the way you love them by changing one thing? Welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. Today's recipe is for a simple but perfected peanut butter cookie. And when I say perfected, I mean perfected. I have been working on this recipe for, off and on for probably about 2 years, trying to get the perfect blend of ingredients that you can make crunchy or soft just by changing one thing. And I got it. And it's been tested by other people and it works every single time. So I'm so excited to share it with you. There's a lot of chemistry involved in creating a cookie recipe because each ingredient affects the texture and how they bake up. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on that in this video, but you can read up on it on my website, thesaltedpepper.com. Just click the link in the description below and you'll be able to get the peanut butter cookies and all the details. All right, first let's start with the basics. This recipe for peanut butter cookies is starting out with a creaming technique. What that means is you take room temperature butter and the sugars that you're using and you cream them together to get them nice and light and fluffy. So that's the first step. Now what I'm using is 1/4 cup of white sugar, 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Now, can you change that to all brown sugar? Yes, but your cookie's going to be different in texture. Okay, can you make it all white sugar? Yes, but your cookie's gonna be different in texture. And then the one change may not work. So if you wanna be able to make some crispy, some soft, or all soft, you've got to follow these instructions, okay? It's very important. 3/4 cup of brown sugar, light brown sugar, not dark, light brown sugar, and 1/4 cup of white sugar, and 1/4 cup of salted butter. Now your butter can be salted or unsalted. That's up to you, okay? That is one change you can freely make. All right, I'm using my stand mixer just because it's so easy to whip up cookie batter in a stand mixer, but you can use a hand mixer as well. And my butter is room temperature, but my room is kind of cold, believe it or not. So it's a little harder than I would like, but you know what? It's not gonna matter. We'll just whip it a little bit longer. I'm gonna beat it with the paddle attachment on medium speed for about 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm putting in both kinds of sugars and the butter. We're gonna go on medium speed. All right, so it's been just about a minute. Now I've got like little tiny balls. I only turned this off so that you could hear me. I have 1 large egg and I'm using 1 teaspoon of my homemade vanilla paste. You can use vanilla extract, that's fine. You can skip the extract if you want. That's not gonna change the chemistry of the cookie, so that's perfectly fine. And my egg is large and it's room temperature. So while this is continuing to mix, because we're not quite done yet, I'm gonna whip this up a little bit. All right, so all of my sugars have now gone to the sides of the bowl. That's because all the butter's been incorporated. Now I'm gonna scrape down a little bit and we're just gonna mix for another minute. And then I'm gonna add the egg and the vanilla in and the peanut butter. And we're just gonna keep mixing on medium speed. And the peanut butter, which is 1/2 cup. So I whipped the peanut butter and the egg into the sugar mixture for just about a minute, and it's nice and creamy, and that's what you want to see. I have 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and to that, for a crunchy cookie, which that's what I love, crunchy cookies, you're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of fine grind sea salt or kosher salt. The salt is optional, but it does boost the flavor and the sweetness of the cookie. So I do recommend using it. If you are using regular table salt, which is a finer grain, you're gonna wanna decrease that to about 1/4 teaspoon. And then I have 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda for crunchy cookies. Baking soda is the secret there, okay? If you want to make these soft, you're gonna also add, in addition to the 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, you're gonna add an additional 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And that's going to create a softer, fluffier peanut butter cookie for you, okay? So that's really the only change you need to make in this recipe to go from crunchy to soft and fluffy. So easy, right? All right, let me go ahead and mix this up. I like to mix the flour, the salt, and the baking soda and powder, if that's what you're gonna use, just to make sure that it gets evenly mixed in with the other peanut butter mixture, which this would be considered the wet mixture. This is the dry. Now we're gonna combine them. I don't put it all in at once. I put about, 1/3 to 1/2 at one time, mix it for about 30 seconds, then put the rest in, and then we're done. Oh my gosh, you can just smell the peanut butter. It smells so good. I'm just gonna go ahead and dump it all in there. So just 2 additions is fine. Start off on low speed. You can go up to medium, but start off on low so you don't have flour go everywhere. All right, that's it. We are all done making our cookie dough. And the texture should be a little bit sticky, should be soft, but it's gonna hold together when we form a ball, okay? Kind of reminds me of the filling for a Buckeye, to be honest with you. If you've ever made the Buckeye candies that are peanut butter and then they've got the chocolate around them, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. They're so good. This kind of reminds me of that in texture, but those don't have flour in them because they're not even cooked. So I scrape down the sides, just make sure everything's incorporated. Take the bowl off the mixer, and now we're gonna get our cookies measured out. I'm using 1 tablespoon scoop for my cookies. I like peanut butter cookies that are kind of on the small side, okay? If you wanna make bigger cookies, you absolutely can, but your baking time's gonna change a little bit. So you're gonna have to use your judgment with that. Probably 10 to 12 minutes instead of 8 to 10 minutes, okay? For a larger cookie. I'm using a large sheet pan tray. I like to bake my cookies 1 sheet tray at a time, okay? So I don't stack them on 2 levels because I think they just cook more evenly if you just use 1. I'm using a light colored tray. This happens to be the one I like to use. You can certainly use a darker colored cookie tray. If you do, your timing might be a little bit less because the darker material conducts heat a little bit faster. So you're gonna have to pay attention to the color of your cookies, okay? All right, to scoop them out, I'm using a 1 tablespoon scoop from Pampered Chef. You can use any 1 tablespoon measuring scoop or even a spoon and just scoop out some. And there's 2 ways to do this, okay? You can put them in your hands, roll them into a ball, roll them in sugar, put them on your tray, and then take your fork, press them, usually both ways is how we do peanut butter cookies. It's kind of the iconic look of a peanut butter cookie. You could do it that way. I don't usually do it that way. Maybe I'm just a little bit lazier than that. So what I do is I take them out. I don't even get them on my hands. I put it onto the cookie tray. I just dip my fork in the sugar a little bit. No, it doesn't really stick, but trust me, it keeps the fork from pulling the cookie dough up and off. And that's how I do it. So either way is fine, but I'm gonna do it the way that I'm used to doing it. You're gonna wanna put your cookies about 2 inches apart on the cookie tray. So I'll line them all up. I kind of do it like assembly style. All right, there you go. Takes me like maybe, I don't know, 3 minutes. Now we're gonna pop this into a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're gonna bake from anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. Mine usually come out about 10. I like them crunchy, so I let them go a little bit longer. You will start to smell the cookie and you will start to see them just slightly darkening. Don't wait until they're already dark, like the color you want to serve them, because they continue to cook, and that's probably just gone a little bit too far, because once you pull them out onto the cooling rack, they're going to keep cooking and they might overcook and get a little burnt tasting. When you first take them out of the oven, they're going to seem kind of puffy and you're going to be like, oh no, I wanted crunchy. These look puffy and they're going to be soft. Don't worry, we don't have the baking powder in there. They're gonna start to flatten as they cool. I'm gonna leave them on the cookie sheet for just about 2 minutes. This one's already starting to deflate. And put the next rack in, okay? All right, so all of the cookies have now deflated and they have flattened out. So we're gonna take them off of the cookie tray and put them onto a cooling rack so that they can cool completely. I like to use something that is metal that has like a sharp edge whenever I'm making cookies. That's just my preference, because when cookies are warm, they can sometimes tend to like smush a little bit. And if you don't have a really sharp edge to go underneath, that happens more frequently than I care to have it happen. So I use this whenever possible. All right. Now, ordinarily what I would do is I would make another 10 to 12 cookies. So this is going to make anywhere between 30 and 34 cookies, okay? But I thought, you know what? Why not experiment a little bit? Now, I haven't done this before, but I'm going to do it with you guys. I'm going to make bigger cookies, okay? So I can kind of give you an idea of what the timing will be. So we're going to make some medium size and some really large cookies with the rest of the batter. All right, so I used the 1 tablespoon scoop for these cookies. Now I'm going to use a 2 and a 3 tablespoon scoop, okay, and make a couple of large cookies. All right, so let's go in with the 2 tablespoon. All right. So we'll wait for these to be done and then we'll pop these in. I will set the timer for 15 minutes. I'm thinking these will probably be done in about 12. These will probably take the whole 15. All right, so I just transferred the slightly larger ones. So these are the medium size. And I transferred them kind of quickly because I wanted to keep the other 2 in the oven. Whoop! So see, I didn't let them sit long enough. You see how they're kind of breaking apart? That's just because I took them off the other cookie sheet and put them on this one. So definitely leave your cookies on the cookie sheet for about 2 minutes before you transfer them. All right, I have to say, these big ones look amazing. They look so good. We'll let them sit here for 2 minutes, transfer them to the cooling rack, let these cool. These are already ready to be eaten, but I'm gonna let all these cool to the same temperature, so probably about 10 minutes or so, and then I will give each one a taste and let you know how they are. All right, so we have the everyday cookie, the special occasion cookie, and then the bakery style cookie. These things are huge. All right, so hopefully, and I don't know this because I've never made the big ones before, hopefully they're all crunchy, right? Let's find out. So this was 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. All right. Yes. Pass the test. So perfect. Oh my gosh. This is the best peanut butter cookie ever. All right, let's see. I don't know. Oh, it did. Crunchy all the way through. Perfect. Of course, they taste the same. All right. Will it work? Oh, I'm hoping. Little softer. Oh, I don't know though. Perfect. So this very center of these are a little bit softer. I have a feeling though that's just because they were the last out of the oven, so they're the least cooled. I mean, they are cool to touch. So, if you are undecided whether you like crunchy or soft, make the bakery style ones because you get the best of both worlds. Crunchy, and then softer. Oh my goodness. Now, oh, they are so good. If you have the baking powder in here, they would be a little crisp on the edges, but really a lot softer all throughout, okay? So make them how you love them.